Hey guys, thanks for joining one of my Thinking Out Loud sessions. Today I'm going to try something a little odd, which is to tie together Randy Newman with establishment Democrats. Specifically, I'm going to explain my disgust of these, the centrist establishment Democrats, like the Nancy Pelosi's, Chuck Schumer's, Joe Biden, those types, with a Randy Newman song. You got a friend in me. You got a friend in me. That's right, the Randy Newman, the Pixar, Toy Story, Randy Newman guy. Stick with me. So in 1974, Newman released an album called The Good Old Boys, and in it, there's a song called Rednecks. The song's melody is pretty much like that Toy Story, You've Got a Friend in Me song, but the lyrics talk about institutional racism and hypocrisy. It's a wild combination. I'll link the song below if you haven't heard it. I'd actually be very surprised if you have heard it because it absolutely cannot be played on the radio. Literally, he uses the N-word like 10 times. It's wild. Even though he's using the N-word in satire, but I presume that because he's a professional musician, he relies somewhat on these sales of his songs and radio airplay to make money. He takes it to another level, and he's literally releasing songs that cannot be played on the radio. Like I said, super wild. But seriously, go listen to it. Okay, so now that I've set the stage, let's go to the lyrics. Like I said, a lot of N-words, which I will be replacing with the phrase black people. So the song is written from the point of view of a southern redneck. So in the first part of the song here, he sings about a bunch of different negative stereotypes that we associate with these southern rednecks. We talk real funny down here. We drink too much and we laugh too loud. We're too dumb to make it in no northern town. We are keeping the black people down. We got no-necked oil men from Texas and good old boys from Tennessee. And college men from LSU, when in dumb, come out dumb too. Hustling around Atlanta in their alligator shoes, getting drunk every weekend at the barbecues. And they're keeping the black people down. Extremely provocative stuff, but the point I want to make here is that this directly reminds me of the centrist Democrats, the Hillary Clinton types, and this is exactly how they view many Americans. Remember the basket of deplorables comment from 2016? This is exactly like that. The thing about these New York Times liberals, these coastal elites, what bothers me the most is that, yeah, sure, maybe you don't agree with these people's values, but to assume that you're better than them, to act all hoity-toity and entitled, quite honestly, that's how you lose an election.
The credulous boomer Rube demo that backs Donald Trump, that wants to think that Donald Trump's the smart one, and y'all elitists are dumb.
You elitists with your geography and your maps and your spelling, even though
your math and your reading.
Yeah, your reading, your geography, knowing other countries, sipping your latte.
All those lines on the map.
How are you supposed to change people's minds if you just attack them and disparage them and look down upon them all the time? That's just not going to work. But anyways, back to the lyrics. He goes on to sing about the hypocrisy of the North. Now, your northern black person's a Negro. You see, he's got his dignity. Down here, we're too ignorant to realize that the North has set the black person free. Yes, he's free to be put in a cage in Harlem and New York City. He's free to be put in a cage on the south side of Chicago and the west side. And he's free to be put in a cage in Huff and Cleveland. He's free to be put in a cage in East St. Louis. And he's free to be put in a cage in the Fillmore in San Francisco. And he's free to be put in a cage in Roxbury in Boston. Here he's obviously referencing the many black ghettos in urban cities. And he's pointing out the fact that, sure, maybe in the North, the black people are quote-unquote free, but are they actually free? And to me, this is exactly what's happening in politics today. The Democrats, they love to talk about Black Lives Matter or women's rights and these type of things, but then they turn around and they force nominate a guy who says that if you don't vote for him, you ain't black. He potentially rapes someone, and at the very least, he touches people inappropriately, and is still today defending a crime bill that exacerbated the issue of mass incarceration in African American communities. It's all just window dressing, like literal window dressing. Instead of any actual real legislation, they'll do stunts like this. And I want to point out, you remember that Amy Cooper situation that happened in Central Park? Yeah, even Amy Cooper, who I see as sort of the classic embodiment of a neoliberal type woke Democrat, I think it's interesting to note here that as she is filing a fake police report of a black man assaulting her in the park, she even took the effort to be politically correct.
There is an African American man. I am in Central Park. He is recording me and threatening myself and my dog.
she's calling him an African American. Like, who cares what you call them if deep down you don't actually care about them or respect them as human beings? Like, this is a perfect analogy of the hypocrisy of these centrist establishment Democrats that drives me absolutely insane. Like, how can you proclaim to be the party of the working class and minorities if none of your policies do anything to actually address the issues facing those communities? Don't get me wrong, I equally dislike guys like Mitch McConnell and Ted Cruz, but at least they don't try to pretend or disguise who they are. You know, they're just like, yep, we're horrible people, we're going to try to screw you big time, but let's see what you can do about it. The Dems, on the other hand, they like to pretend they're all about social justice, like to rip up papers, kente cloth it up, carry hot sauce in their purse, and then they go cozy up to CEOs and Fortune 500 companies. So there you go. That's how you go from Randy Newman, the Toy Story guy, to my disgust of establishment Dems. Hope you enjoyed this video. If so, please give it a like, share with your friends and family, and please consider subscribing to 5149 and supporting independent voices like mine. My name is James Lee, and as always, thank you for your time.